two things most characteristic of Brother Brian was his great wit, stroke, sense of humour, and also is not such a good quality of passive resistance to anything unwelcome. I had the benefit of his jokes and one-liners since I was about 12, about 5 years older than him. But the other quality, less praiseworthy quality, didn't affect me so much, probably affected my mum a lot more, my dad, than it did me. But I do remember clearly when he became really unstuck and the passive resistance technique completely failed. And it was when he suddenly discovered, when he was at school, that he had to join the Army Cadet Force. And this was an absolute horror to him. And he came home and begged and pleaded with my mother to get him out of it. And he said, I don't understand why you put my name down. And she said, well, I knew you hated the Scouts. So she said, it was either that or the Scouts, and I knew you hated the Scouts, so I put you down for the Cadets. So he had to get on with it. And I remember every Friday morning, he would be in the kitchen, and he had this horrible job of blanking and polishing up buttons, boots and belts, and then putting his gear on, his khaki gear, and getting on the bus, clunking down in the boots and he absolutely hated it. And I don't know what sterling qualities these cadet force was supposed to bestow on him, but I think it probably failed. And his humour, as you know, from a young age, took the form of jokes, written and verbal, little cartoons, nicknames, and at the expense of family, neighbours and friends. And he'd keep us quite entertained at home. But I remember my mother being very cross with him when our parish priest showed up completely unexpectedly and just whizzed Father Brumming straight into the kitchen where Mum and Dad were eating, instead of taking him to the living room. And she said to him, Brian, you could have just taken him to why did you bring him into the kitchen? And he did this sort of helpless thing, oh, he was closing in on me, you know. This is classic Brian, you know. He took no responsibility. But so it wasn't that funny to Mum at that time. But he was a very good brother to have around. And I think he was very lucky when older to have had Mel and Nick, and then Nick and Nick's family in his life, plus amazing friends, especially Andy, who's been an amazing friend right to the very end.
Yeah.